What is going on, guys? It is Nick here with Ghost Bros Gaming, and today we're going to talk about all of the tech options used during YCS Las Vegas that you should be picking up. But before we do, please make sure you like and subscribe. Ghost Bros Gaming. All right, guys, so before we get into these tech options, the thing I want to mention is that we're not going to be talking about the staples that were used during the event, which are Ash Blossom, Yugioh, Spring, Nibiru, Book of Eclipse, Lava Golem, Sphere Mode, and Triple Tactics Thrust. We know those are really good cards. We don't need to talk about those. Let's talk about some of the more obscure and things that we didn't see coming. All right. First up is going to be Evenly Matched. Now, Evenly Matched had been rotating out of the format with Thrill Elements because they would just side in Crime, or they would main deck Crime, and then it negates the Evenly Matched. Well, not a lot of decks are putting up an Omni Negate. Kashtira can put up an Omni Negate by going into Ash Blossom and Yugioh Spring and synchroing off, say, a Unicorn and an Ash Blossom to make a Baronne. And with the Birthday Search off of Unicorn, they can just bring it right back. Now, that wasn't seen very much apparently, and there were a lot of decks that were even main decking Evenly Matched in the top 16. So, Evenly Matched, big card. I would have 3 of it in your side deck, and you could potentially play 6 copies with Triple Tactics Thrust. The next card up, which I'm really surprised at, but it kind of makes a lot of sense, is Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller was used a lot. There was a top 16 Despia deck, and there was a top 16 Kashtira deck that all side decked 3 Enemy Controller, and I believe another deck that side decked 3 Enemy Controller. But the reason for that is that it's really great going into a setup Kashtira board, because especially if they've Ibly locked you, you contribute the Ibly, take one of their monsters, and if you're playing Kashtira, that just kind of gets your combo going. Or you contribute one of your Kashtira monsters that you've just summoned and activated the effect to then be able to take the monster, and the effect will go through, right? So if they imperm, say, your Aliber, or if they imperm your Unicorn, you can just tribute away your Unicorn, and then you get the effect to resolve. So a really good card. I didn't see that coming, but I expect this card to go up in price in the future. The next card that we saw was played in a decent amount of Kashtira decks, and that is Forbidden Lance. And so Forbidden Lance is so important here because, as one of the deck list was saying, that if Unicorn resolves, you basically win, right? And so if they imperm your Unicorn, you can Lance it to protect it. You can protect your inboard with Forbidden Lance with Book of Eclipse, or from Book of Eclipse. Basically going with kind of like an old school, almost like Dino Rabbit-esque strategy where they're trying to just build the board and protect it as much as they can. And since the board only needs a Unicorn to be built, it's really easy to just kind of side in all of these protection cards, and Forbidden Lance is one of those protection cards. We saw a ton in the OCG, and I expect to see it increase in popularity after this event in the TCG. In a similar vein, Book of Moon also works in that way. It's a quick play spell that you can use to flip your monster face down to dodge, say, like an imperm. It was also played by the same deck list that played the Forbidden Lance, and they also played a Forbidden Chalice. This one I think is like a worse Book of Eclipse, honestly, but who knows, maybe it'll see play. Another card that was seeing a lot of play, and it wasn't even in a fusion deck, is Garura. Garura, the TCG exclusive, which is basically a draw 1 when it goes to the graveyard. People were banishing it off of Pot of Prosperity and then reattaching it with Arise Heart's effect. And then if, say, you got Evenly Matched, what you could do is you could detach 3 from the Arise Heart, not the Garura. You would leave the Garura attached, banish your own Kashtira Arise Heart face down, and then the Garura goes to the graveyard because the Macrocosmos effect is no longer being applied, so you get a draw. Or if they were able to out your Kashtira Arise Heart, you get a draw. So it was kind of the counterpart, because you could either banish the Garura, or you could also banish the Infinitrack, which we're seeing a lot of play of, which protects an XYZ from, I believe, battle and card effects when it's attached. So these are all Arise Heart attach options. Next up is a side deck card that we saw a ton of. Honestly, probably the most consistently sided card I saw was Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier is just super good this format with Branded and Kashtira being the 2 main decks. It hurts both of them pretty bad, albeit Kashtira a little less, right? Because their main deck monsters still have a lot of good effects, but it really hurts Branded in that if they can't fusion summon, they can't really play the game. So saw a lot of Dimensional Barrier in the side out. Crossout Designator was a card that had a lot of hype and wasn't being used that much, but branded decks were playing it a lot. And a lot of the top 16 brandeds were citing Crossout Designator just for that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, which makes a lot of sense because the deck does have a lot of trouble with Ash Blossom. Speaking of cards that are trying to negate Ash, Neospatian, Aqua Neos, and Aqua Neos. We saw this in the top 2 deck profile for the branded Despia, so they came in second place. But this deck was playing Fusion Deployment at 3, and then they would side in an Aqua Neos and a Neospatian Aqua Neos, because you could special summon the Neospatian Aqua Neos by revealing the Aqua Neos, and then Neospatian Aqua Neos' effect is that you can discard 1, look at your opponent's hand, and then destroy 1 monster in it that has an attack less than 600 life points, or 600 attack points. So really good Ash counter. You could also get hand knowledge, right? Like, you know, if your opponent's playing Nibiru. Interesting option. We'll see if that actually has an effect on the market. I'm sure it will, as an Ash Blossom, since Fusion Deployment is being played in almost all branded builds, and having another target for that keeps you from being ashed is really nice. The next up is another branded tech, which is Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. So Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is currently, I think, like 3 listings away from being like a $2,000 card, which is crazy for a super rare, but that's where we're at. If you wanted an alternative to this, something I found is DT Orthos, which locks you into Fiends when you special summon it, and so it's almost just as impactful, and it has the same lasting effect that the Gimmick Puppet does, but it's a little bit more broad in that it's Fiends, so it wouldn't work against Labyrinth. However, honestly, like, it's Labyrinth. Like, if you're going to be playing a deck, you're probably not going to be doing that play anyway, like the branded Expulsion, summon the Gimmick Puppet to Labyrinth anyway. You would probably want to side in, say, like a Jinzo or Holding Legs or something like that to branded Expulsion to the Labyrinth side instead. So Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, really good card. If you want an alternative, DD Orthos. Dark Hole is the next card. Dark Hole was seeing a lot of play. I think people were fearing the Ibly lock a lot, which I heard was not as impactful as it was expected to be. But Dark Hole was played a ton. It's a good triple tactics thrust target. It clears the entire board, so if you got Ibly locked, it's good. Dark Hole, it's back. All right, so that is it, guys. If you like the video, please make sure you like and subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the next time we see you on Ghost Bros Gaming.